Hello and welcome to Dissgruntled, the podcast that turns personal grievances into a competition. I'm your host, Joplin Jayne. We have three very funny comedians. Please welcome Rob Mayfield from Chicago.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Keith Harmon from Washington State. This is a podcast, Keith.
My bad. I hear music in my head like you're doing an intro.
We have to welcome our third guest, the very funny Drew Davis from Tennessee.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, Drew. He's in his car in a Panera because he's on tour. Right?
Yeah, I just do comedy at Panera Breads. It's the most basic white thing I can do. My ancestors are happy with me.
Oh my gosh. So these funny guys, they're going to be competing in 2 rounds, and I will be awarding points after each round. And by the end, whoever has the most points is valid in their grievances, and everybody else is just sadly disgruntled. You guys ready to go?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Let's go.
let's do it.
Fantastic. So round 1 is called Petty Rapid Fire. We're going to start this round with Keith. In this round, comedians will have 2 minutes to rant about as many petty personal injustices or grievances that they have with the world as possible. The person to tell the most wins the round. I will also be handing out a bonus congeniality point for the funniest storytelling. Keith.
All right. First off, it doesn't matter if you buy a $2,000 or a $20,000 truck. It's going to make weird noises, and you're going to have to go to the mechanics. Yeah, that one. 2, why does perfectly good tires get lower? Why do you got to fill them up? Why do I find backwash halfway through my water bottle? That's fucking pissing me off. And second off, why does a water bottle taste so bad just sitting in the car for like 6 hours? Like, what's going on there? Like, why am I buying these water bottles? I'm just wasting them. Second off, not having any liquor for my morning coffee. Injustices, many injustices. I don't know why people still don't know how to use a 4-way stop. People out here in Spokane, it gets snow every year. They don't know how to drive in snow, and it's my fault for flipping them off and going around them at full speed. Also, aliens I think are real, but the government keeps saying they're real, but then there's still no evidence. That's really getting to me. Why is gas prices going down around the holidays? Only if election year's coming up. That pisses me off. Why do I pay all this state tax for all these programs in Washington State, but I pay 8% or 8 cents to the dollar on all my goods too? But they say they only tax. I'm just taxes. Okay, taxes. That's another one. Oh my God. Stocking stuffers sometimes have better presents in it than all your presents you get. What the hell's up with that? That's bullshit. Dog toys, always temporary, no matter what they say. That's false advertisement. It's supposed to be illegal.
20 seconds.
Yeah, lighting I can't seem to get right. I'm either too dark or too white. I don't know if anyone else has that problem. 2, I don't tan unless I'm in the sun, and that's injustice because I'm lazy these days.
Time.
There we go.
That was a lot.
Whew. All right.
That was good.
You got 13.
I'm angry for you on all those things.
All just raging quietly, seething. You just listed them. That really was freaking rapid fire. I agree with you on the alien stuff. It feels like such a tease.
Yes.
Like, remember the guy who, like the army person, the military person who was like, supposed to be the person who was the whistleblower and showed all the videos? Like, that was so orchestrated. Can we talk about that? Like, there's no way the actual government would just like let him escape with videos like that. Remember what they did to Edward Snowden? There's no way that was real.
Right. He's definitely working with them. I mean, it's more obvious than they think it is, which is, come on, like, I don't know. I know we love our GMOs and shit, but like we still got brain cells here. Like we're
I think that like I love this topic. What I found interesting was like I'm kind of worried the fact that the government is now like kind of teasing us with these videos and like these insinuations, because like to me it's just like, what are you not saying? Like, is something happening to that you feel like we need to know all of this stuff? Like, why are you trickling it out like this? What are you like leading towards? Am I the only one who thinks that?
It bothers me that like for all my life up until this past year when it came out that the aliens might be real, any person who like talk about seeing an alien or believing in aliens, we'd always like, what a crazy weirdo. Like, there were segments on the news where you're like, let's laugh at this weird guy and his alien theories.
Yeah.
And all this time, someone in some kind of position of power could have been like, well, he's not 100% wrong. Like, that would have made those poor alien sighters in the,
Totally.
backwoods of Georgia,
Yes, Drew. Are we both for reparations for the alien truthers?
I think so too. And I want to interview those people and see what they're doing with the money we give them, and like what I want to see their reactions to it.
Oh,
Like,
that would be
I
great.
think that would be a good series.
Oh, that's great. All right, cool.
That is-
Awesome. Keith, that was very good. You got 13, man. That's the most so far. We've only had 2 episodes, but even still, it's a very impressive
This is episode 2.
Record holder.
too. We'll see if Rob and Drew can beat that. Drew,
All right.
are you ready?
I'm ready.
Take it away.
All right, here we go. I'm going to start off easy with food. I can't stand unsweet tea. I think it's useless. It's so annoying when you are going for sweet tea at a McDonald's and the unsweet tea comes on and you drink it. It's disgusting. I also really don't like any food that I have to eat with my hands that are messy. What are we, like in the Stone Age? Like I have I have forks and stuff. I'm all about boneless wings instead of traditional. And I don't like ribs. I don't like making a mess. I don't want you to lose your appetite because you're eating with me. All right. Like, I just think like, let's lose the messy food. We're civilized human beings. All right. This is going to be very controversial because I'm from Nashville, but I hate country music so much. It's like they give the accent, like the annoying Southern accent on the voices and the guitars, and it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. I can't stand it. Also, speaking of music, I'm getting a little tired of Taylor Swift fans. She's good, she's great. They worship her more than most Christians worship God. Speaking of Christians, Chick-fil-A, like, come on, it's not that big of a deal. Get over it. It's fine. It's good. It's not like God's holy chicken. I'm tired of people measuring their holiness by how often they go to Chick-fil-A. It's not for me. And I don't appreciate being judged by it. I really don't like it when this one's this is a slow burn. It happened a while ago, but Lost fans in 2010, before the show ended, like, they were the most annoying human beings on earth. And I don't think enough Lost fans have acknowledged that show ended terribly, and they were so wrong to hype it up as much as they did. I'm still pissed at those people, and they're the worst. 30 seconds. I will end on a big one, which is my body. I was born without a sense of smell. I'm allergic to everything green and growing. I literally break out in hives for no reason. Did you know you can break out in hives for just being hot and stressed? That's literally every summer for me, and I just almost die from it. And it's just, yeah.
Time. That was really good.
That was intense.
Thank you.
That was a lot.
I bottle so much inside. This is such a helpful podcast to just let it all out a little bit.
Man, this is therapeutic for Drew.
Hey, I have to admit that last part about Lost, how it ended, that was just garbage. Just garbage. There was no writing. They're like, let's just have this big tornado thing come in and just here it goes. And oh my God, I hate that.
And it silenced a massive group of fans for so long, and they were the most obnoxious. Like, if you used to say before the series finale, if you said you didn't watch Lost, people thought you were putting puppies in blenders. They were like, you were the worst human being. What's wrong with you? They were all in my family too. And then the next Christmas, no one talked about TV because their TV shows ended terribly, and no one brings it up now. But I'm still remembering those days.
You know what? I love the bitterness with which you talk about something that happened like 10 years ago. Like, you are the perfect candidate for this show because you do not let go. You cling.
No, I do. And I know when to keep my mouth shut. I'm so nice and well-natured, but I have grievances about everything. I loved when you said what this podcast is about, I was like, this is my new favorite thing.
You know what I think is interesting? I think it is interesting how, and I'd love to talk about this phenom, where I do think a lot of people, they don't have much to talk about when their show isn't on. You know, a lot of
Mhm.
people do base their personalities based off of whatever their craze is at the moment,
Right.
you know, whether it's their shows or, you know, Taylor Swift or whatever. And without that thing, it's like, well, who are you? You know?
Yeah. I feel that way as I binge watch a Netflix series. Like when it's done, I'm like, well, who was I before this series? Like I don't, but I do think it is healthy to have like at least one show where like every week you have that new episode to look forward to. Like your whole life could be going to shit that week. Everything terrible could happen. But hey, I mean, back in the day, it was like for me, it was like every Thursday there's a new episode of Smallville. I knew it. That was that helped. That kept me going for 10 years. Then after Smallville, the Arrowverse opened up, and like that was my thing. Like, just don't be the person who's like, "Wait, you don't watch this show? I didn't realize you were a racist." Like I don't be that person who's like, "I didn't realize you were the worst human on being because you don't watch Game of Thrones."
I
Or
agree with
something, you
that.
know.
I think you have a good handle on it. Cause, you know, I think that there are some people who are meant to be fans of things. Like we all create content. We're all comedians. Like to me, passion in general, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody, I love it. I am so for it. Like even if it's something that I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan. And Taylor Swift came to where I live and there's a street named Swift. And, you know, the week leading up to her concert, like there were throngs of young girls and their mothers like lining up like blocks worth of people
Yeah.
to get a selfie with this street sign because it was Swift's street, but they added the parentheses Taylor's version. So it became like
It's a huge deal.
It was a huge thing. But I realized at first I was really annoyed with them. But then I looked at it and I was like, I saw these young girls with their mothers and they were all dressed up. You know, people who go to the Taylor Swift concerts, they love like getting in the garb of, you know, dressing up. Like this is like a special thing. Like, you know, dressing like Taylor, whatever. And I looked at them and I was like, I know for a fact that there's a lot of these moms that they have had such a hard time connecting with their daughters up to this point. And they have found something that they can go do together and get excited about together, even if the mom's not even that into it. Like she can go spend quality time with her daughter who means everything to her and have a memory that really matters. And I looked at it that way and it really changed everything for me.
That is definitely a good thing. That is awesome.
So, Rob.
Yes.
You are.
I love everything. I have nothing to complain about.
All right. Well, I'll start the clock. I'll give you 2 minutes to say nothing if you would like.
No, I don't like tomatoes. They fucking suck. I realize when I go to restaurants and I ask no tomatoes, that's a code word for fuck up this nigga's meal. Because every time I say no tomatoes, I don't get the shit I order. I don't like soup. Soup is a waste of time. I'm not that old to where I should be drinking my food at this fucking point. I don't understand soup at all. And I think it's because my mom used to make a lot of chicken noodle soup back in the day. So as I got older, I don't fuck with soup at all. It like borderline pisses me off. I don't like Chicago traffic. Chicago traffic is the devil. It caused me to have so much rural rage and I want to fight everybody because you sitting in this traffic for like hours, and then when you get up to the front where the traffic was alleged, there's nothing going on. It's not an accident. A car is not on fire. There's not a dead body. There's nothing going on to warrant this fucking traffic. It's just a bunch of old people, like I guess falling asleep behind the wheel. I don't know who's in the front of this line, but Chicago traffic is fucking stupid. I don't like Gary, Indiana, and that's where Michael Jackson's from. And I don't like Gary, Indiana because in front of the Jackson house that he grew up in, it used to be this big marble monumental statue of him after he passed away. And now if you go past the house now, these motherfuckers have stole the statue from in front of the house. The statue is no longer there. I don't understand how you fucking stole the king of pop in his own hood and nobody noticed y'all just walking down the street with this motherfucker. I don't understand, like, how did this happen and nobody reported this to the news? How much time I got left?
You're done. You're like more than done, but it's so enjoyable that like I love to hear you rant. Your no tomatoes thing was great.
For a week straight, every time I ordered no tomatoes on my food, it completely messed up my whole. They gave me shit I didn't understand. I felt like I was like in the Twilight Zone or some shit. Like people was like setting me up because I didn't understand like why this was happening to me.
I love the idea of a Twilight Zone where the fucked up, creepy, weird thing is a tiny thing like adding tomatoes.
I do love tomatoes. I'm Italian, and I felt a little offended when I had to catch myself. We choose to be offended sometimes. I chose not to be. But when you talked about soups, I was right there with you. In fact, when I was thinking about things that I wanted to list, soups were actually on my list. I forgot to say it, so I'm glad that they got their necessary amount of hate.
People were like, "Oh, well, Rob, you love chili." I'm like, because it's not a bowl of water though. Like you just boil some water and just threw a bunch of shit in here. It's like, oh, this fucking broth is amazing. And like, nah, I don't like it.
Rob, I was with you on the Gary, Indiana thing. I've always been freaked out about that place because it just doesn't feel like a city should be named after like some dude named Gary. Like, who the fuck is Gary? Like, why would he deserve a town named after him? It's literally like Keith, Indiana, Rob, Indiana, Drew, Indiana. No.
I would love it.
I think Drew, Delaware would work. I'm such a sucker for like alliteration. I do like it.
Yeah. I could do it, Delaware.
You say I could do it, Delaware.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not a New York or like a cool place. I don't know, but like Delaware seems like my speed.
I'm cool with that. I would like just a sandwich named after me. I think that would be cool. Like I don't need it.
Yes. What kind of sandwich would it be?
I love Reuben.
Like, what would be in it?
I'm a big fan of Reuben.
Well, it's already named after Reuben.
No, Teresa Reuben or Reuben Teresa, or like we could collaborate. We could collab, and I could add like I love jalapeno, so maybe some a Reuben jalapeno something, or I'll just fight Keith or fight Reuben. Like fuck him. Like who's Reuben? No one even knows.
Right.
I'm here and he's not. Fuck him.
I can have a sandwich made after me because I love food, so it'll probably be the most disgusting shit. And my sandwich will have everything on it because I like to eat. So that fucking sandwich will have everything. It'll probably be some shit you'll eat if you was really, really high. Because I'll put some shit together real quick.
Rob, it sounds like you need like a Taco Bell item named after you.
Yeah.
That would be dope. That would be dope.
Maybe I change it. I do love Reuben's, but
I fucking love tacos.
I do too. And Taco Bell just hits the spot when you're at your lowest. Chipotle also does that for me. Okay, I changed mine from
Reuben. At your lowest.
That's when I go. That's my comfort. I changed mine for a Reuben. I would like an ice cream sandwich named after me because then I could really personalize it. You know, I could make it exactly me and it would be very unique. And, you know, I wouldn't have to fuck with Reuben's legacy. You know what I mean?
That is a great idea. I love that.
So Keith had the most. He had 13. So Keith.
Shout out to Keith.
Yeah. Keith really showed out, and he wins that round. I have to give funniest storytelling to Rob, even though Drew is fucking great. I loved your shit. You're like, I don't like country music. I don't like the accents on the singers or the guitars. I loved that.
Yeah, it gives it a gross southern twang.
It's crazy. I tried to get into country music too. Like I really wanted to try to like country music just to have a diverse music selection. So all right, so I was in the Navy for 14 years and I was stationed in Iraq and they had this station called the Country Convoy and they played nothing but country music. And I really tried to get into country music and I was like, yo, I'm finna fucking flip this car over. Like I can't. Yeah. I try. I'm like, this wasn't for me.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was I karaoke'd Toby Keith's "What About Me." one time, and I got two old lesbians throwing French fries at me. They did not like that song. It was. I didn't stop though. I dedicate to my art, and I just powered through it. And they got kicked out. Many French fries hit me in the face, and I just kept singing. And now I'm singing directly to them, of course. You know,
Of course.
what about me? What about I? What about number one? They didn't like it. They didn't like it at all.
Okay, so I agree with you, Rob, on like modern country. I'm not a fan of like pop country. I'm not a fan of manufactured stars. But like somebody like Jason Isbell, do you guys know who he is? Ugh. This is where I'm going to insert a clip of Jason Isbell, so at least our viewers and listeners can be on my side on this because he's freaking great.
Sorry about that, viewers.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Heart on the run, keeps a hand on the gun. You can't trust anyone. I was so sure what I needed was more. Tried to shoot out the sun. Days when we raged, we flew off the page. Such damage was done. I made it through, 'cause somebody knew I was meant for someone. So girl, leave your boots by the bed. We ain't leaving this room. Someone needs medical help or the magnolias bloom. It's cold in this house and I ain't going out to chop wood. So cover me up and know you're enough to use me for good.
And we're back. So I hope you enjoyed that clip of Jason Isbell, Cover Me Up, because it is a wonderful, wonderful song. Do we all like that? Rob, Drew, Keith, wasn't that great?
It was so awesome, life changing. I
dopest
changed my
song
mind.
I've ever heard.
So good.
I'm so convincing. That was great. You guys are wonderful. Okay, cool. We should probably move on to round two. You guys are so enjoyable to talk with. So round two. So the points are Keith has 3 points. Every time you win a round, you get 3 points, and then the funniest gets 1 point. So round two is it is a storytelling round. It is called WTF storytelling. And this one, we're going to start things off with Drew. In this round, comedians are going to tell a story about the worst grievance that has ever happened to them. Whoever has the best grievance, the most shocking, horrifying, I can't believe you went through that grievance, will win the round. And again, I will be handing out bonus congeniality points for the funniest storytelling. Comedians have 5 minutes or less to tell their story. Drew, my friend, are you ready?
So ready.
Let's go, Drewski.
I actually, yeah, man, listen, I don't know if this is going to win funniest, but this gave me some PTSD thinking about this. So when I was at high school, college, I worked at a grocery store called Publix. So it was a bagger, cashier. I also don't have a sense of smell. That's important in this story. I learned that managers don't mind asking you to do really crappy jobs. And I mean that very literally, because we had this old lady come in one time and not make it to the toilet in the bathroom. She came close, but she basically just exploded in the bathroom. And every manager said, like, well, Drew doesn't have a sense of smell. He's the perfect person to go clean up this mess. And so at high school age, I was like, oh no, like I don't want to be confrontational. That's my job. From 9 to 5, I work here or whatever. So like I don't have basic human rights. So they asked me, and without even thinking, I was like, well, I am the perfect person for this job. I'll go clean up this literal shit. And then I go in and I clean it. It is as disgusting as it sounds. And when I use the word explode, she's like, fine. She didn't actually die, but we're talking walls, we're talking floors, we're
What?
talking, she did make it a little bit to the toilet. Like, we're talking, there were, for a small elderly woman, and it was so funny. When she came up I was standing next to the customer service desk when she came up, because she's like, well, I felt so bad for this lady. She was just like, well, how'd she phrase it? She's like, I'm so sorry. That's how she started. She's like, I had to go to the bathroom and I just couldn't make it. And I'm so sorry. And then she walked off very sad. And then I got to go clean up her poop. And the worst part is that became my job. Anytime a dog pooped outside, or anytime, more than enough, people didn't make it to the toilet, I was the go clean up the literal shit person. And then years later, I was trying to do comedy and also getting my job back in retail. I started training new people. So I started going through like the books with them and stuff, like going through like the management books and like what you can do. And did you know any employee has the right to say, no, I will not clean up human feces? And then the manager has to do it. And I think all the managers knew that. And they didn't tell me. But at any point during the many years in high school that I worked at Publix, cleaning up human shit, someone could have been like, hey, bro, you actually don't have to do this. If you say no, a manager will have to do it. And none of the customer service staff, none of the other cashiers, none of the managers, of course. No one. It wasn't until like 5-10 years later that I figured this out, and I'm still angry about it, but it's fine.
Can we talk about your lack of smell? I do have some questions. I've never met anybody who has
Absolutely.
smell. So, I mean, you can feel when you fart, right? So you can tell that way.
Yes. Yes. And the sound effects, I mean, I do think fart sounds are really funny. So as like people, as you should, So I'm actually really fun to be around, like, for like, if you ever want to fart and we can laugh about it together, and you never have the downsides of like, oh, I'm sorry, you're going to smell that. And if I smell your fart, it's a miracle, and we will pray to Jesus together. We will. It'll be a good moment.
I guess the saying, whoever smelt it, dealt it, doesn't apply to you, because you can't smell it.
No, I'm usually dealing it, never smelling it.
So
that's probably gross for you guys.
I have so many questions, Drew. This is so interesting to me. So you know how people who blind people can't see, and so like them lacking one of their 5 senses enhances the rest of their 4 senses. Does that mean that like your kinetic touch or something like that is super heightened?
I wish that would make for such a boring Marvel movie, but I'd be so into it. No, here's the possibilities. So the question comes to, if like supposedly maybe my taste is hyper developed, because 20% of what you smell is what you taste is what you smell. And I don't have that, but I can still taste food just fine. But I'm a weird guy with textures. So I think honestly, I just have like 80% taste instead of 100%. So somehow I didn't get the superhuman, like I can't be Daredevil. I wish I could. So, but
that's hilarious.
When did you realize that you couldn't smell things? Like, what was?
I realized pretty early on, but the challenge was actually like my family believing me. Like, they just thought I was making it up until like a doctor was like actually confirmed it, and they're like, oh, that's the thing that exists. So I feel like I knew, like, even in elementary school, like, and I'd be saying it, but then I feel like my parents were like, oh no, you can spell, or maybe they were like, you just don't know how to yet, or something. Like, I don't know, like,
don't know how to
but
yet?
And then yeah. And then I used to like not tell anyone, because I was afraid they were gonna like stick poop in my backpack or something like that. It was very irrational, but I was terrified. So like, it wasn't until I went to college and one of my best friends was my first roommates that I like came out of the closet with my smell. Like, I was like, here's the thing, and he was like, but you used to, like, I was like, yeah, I was faking it. I was totally like, because I, didn't want people to know. Because like, if someone did fart in our friend group, I'd be like, "Oh, that's disgusting," but I was just making it up. And so, and then actually, when I started stand-up comedy, my first routine ever was about not having a sense of smell. So that on my first album, you can actually hear jokes about me talking about having anosmia, which is what it's called. You have blind people, deaf people, and then they don't actually have like a verb or whatever. So it's just called having anosmia. And I've made up a word for it. I say that we're anosmic, but that sounds more like an eating disorder. So it's confusing. So
That's so funny, Drew. Do you ever wish you could smell?
maybe I used to for a little bit, but I actually had this terrifying dream one time when I was like in high school or college, where like I woke up with a sense of smell, and then I couldn't turn it off, and it freaked me out so much. Then the dream ended with me like in an insane asylum because I was like just losing it. And then like I woke up from that, I was like, I'm good not smelling. Like it's fine.
Wow. Wow. Damn, I never thought about that. Like if suddenly, so you aren't like the babies who get the colloquial ear implants and like, oh, the world is open. You go straight to
No.
a horror movie.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm fine. And really, I mean, really, if you think about it, if you were to lose any one sense, that's not the worst one to lose.
I have
Like
thought about
I
that.
feel like, yeah,
Actually, I think the worst one to lose would be the sense of touch because it would just feel like
I
you're
think so
floating
too.
all the time, right? You're like, I can't
And
feel
so many,
there's no gravity.
and so many like so many people that are born without the sense of touch like do not make it past very young because like that you touch a hot stove and then you learn not to touch a hot stove unless you don't have a sense of touch, and then you just leave your hand on a hot stove until someone finds you. So that's gross. Sorry.
No, that's so
true.
interesting. I didn't know that, but that makes absolute sense. It reminds me of people with like diabetes, and then they get like feet problems like sores and cuts because they can't feel it. It's like that movie Mr. Deeds. You guys ever watch that?
Yeah.
Where the
With
guy
the frostbite and he's like, hit it. Yeah. That's a good movie.
That Blackfoot.
Yeah. I'm so glad we all have that frame of reference and can enjoy that.
Yes.
That was great. Oh, Drew, I love that.
And now here's a clip of Mr. Deeds for your viewers.
With the Blackfoot.
Pretty messed up, huh?
The hideousness of that foot will haunt my dreams forever.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that before.
And we're back. Oh, that was fun. Thanks for answering all those questions, Drew. You have such a great attitude about that. That's so interesting to me. All right, cool. Are you ready to go, Keith?
Oh yeah, I got one. Definitely. First off, we all do open mics here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So there's always the one place, whether it's the club or the most popular place that has open mic, so you actually get a good crowd, of at least 30 people. For me, that's Spokane Comedy Club. Maybe we can edit out the name if we have to, but I had a pretty big injustice there from previous management. Just about almost a year and a half ago now. Actually, it's only about a year. That's right. I'm always ahead of my brain. But no, I had my card lost when I was there. I did the open mic and I got a couple drinks, and then she went to grab my card and I gave it to you. And they lost my card and ended up charging it to another table. And I was able to prove that by getting on my app, my bank app, and see that. And yeah, you do have my card. In fact, it looks like you might have gave it to someone else and charged me for their drinks. And they just kept insisting that they didn't have my card. So finally, and I knew who management was, I went up to her and I started being pretty disgruntled. I wasn't angry, but I was just like, this is not okay. Why is this happening? I've heard this happen to other people, and it since has happened more. But anyways, I did all that, and she was mean. She acted like I was the problem. They finally got my card back and comped me my drink. I guess it was only one drink. I remember her making that a point. Oh, we comped you your one drink. And just attitude out of belief. I was just, anyways, it made me late to the second open mic. I had to stay there until I got everything dealt with. and I was pretty upset. Well, when I left, I made a nice Facebook post, like I would not recommend anyone doing who's trying to come up into any kind of fame of any kind. I made a Facebook post that blew my Facebook up. I went from like 1,000 followers to almost 4,000 in like 5 months because apparently even negative press is press. And I have since since that Facebook post, been banned from Spokane Comedy Club. So, which also is the Tacoma Comedy Club and the same owners. And because even though all of management has since been fired for I don't know what, I just heard stories. Okay, I wasn't there. All right, I mean I only do free cocaine. What? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, but they've been fired since. But I got put on a list that club has to be permanently banned. So even though the people who I had the problem with are completely gone, I'm still banned. So that's my injustice story. I definitely have grievances about it. It's a bummer.
This whole time, like, we haven't acknowledged that you're in a bathroom, really, or why that you're in there. But viewers, listeners, he does a podcast in his bathroom. You want to tell us about it?
This is my living room, actually. It's slash studio. These toilets are not in the ground here. They are real toilets, though. I do a podcast called Toilet Talk. It's on YouTube, Toilet Talk 509. It's pretty cool. We've done about 9 episodes. I have comedic guests on. Eventually, I'm going to have guests of every liking, but I'm just bringing my friends on. You know what you got to do.
Cool.
That's dope.
Check out Toilet Talk. I know Drew will. He loves shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. I really will.
Drew loves shit. Rob, you're up next whenever you're ready.
All right. So my grievance story is I've been doing stand-up comedy 6 years. And like I said previously, I was in the military for 14 years. My dad was proud that I was doing both. So when I went to the military, he was extremely proud that I did 14 years. But coming out and being a stand-up comic made him even more prouder. But unfortunately, my dad passed away last summer from prostate cancer, right? And so one of his dreams, well, he always convinced me, like, I'm gonna get better, son. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna come see you perform, because he followed all my social media. He would repost everything or whatever. But unfortunately, he never got a chance to see me perform live. And it really sucked. After the funeral, everybody was like, I realized how phony my family was. Like, my family they're very phony. They're very phony people. And like, what you call them? They bullshit a lot. There you go. That's a word, perfect word. They bullshit a lot. So after the funeral, everybody at this point knows how well I'm doing comedy out here in Chicago. So they're like, oh yeah, Rob, we see you, they was like, we see you doing big shows and doing pretty big things for you in your comedy career. We're so happy for you, so proud of you. We're gonna come to every show, every open mic that you have. None of the motherfuckers ever came to anything I've ever produced or been a part of. I think my 2 aunties came like twice at the beginning of my career, like 5 years ago. So I was like, let me test this theory on how phony my family is. I was like, let me test this theory and see. So I started a family group chat text from like my oldest uncle to like the youngest cousin. So it's like broken up into sections. So everybody's part of this group chat, right? So soon as I start this group chat, my uncle hits me up on the side like, hey, nephew, I'm a private dude, right? Like, who the fuck you got me in this group chat with all these strangers? I was like, what? this is what I mean when I say my family is fake and phony, and they don't fuck with each other like that. They don't communicate. They don't talk. Because that's literally what he said to me when I started this group chat. He was like, "Yo, who the fuck you got me in this group chat with all these strangers and shit?" I'm like, "What you mean?" I'm like, "This is a family chat." He like, nah. He was like, nah, fuck all that. He was like, "Who is that bitch ass nigga in the group chat that's always talking shit like, oh, my daddy ain't shit. My daddy ain't shit." I was like, "Your daughter? Like, what the fuck? What is happening?" I'm like, why is this happening right now at the funeral? Like, what is going on? I was like, I don't understand none of this. I was so confused. I'm like, I don't understand why is this going on. So that's my grievance. The main grievance part was that my dad never got to see me perform live comedy, and unfortunately he passed away last year from prostate cancer. He was only 60 years old. And that's my story.
I'm sorry about your dad, Rob.
Yeah.
I love that, like, you are basically him, like,
Yeah.
Dad, you know me, you know my dad, so your dad must have been pretty awesome, because we can all agree that you're pretty awesome.
I appreciate it. And like, it was so weird that the lady said it, because I'm like, I can show you how much I look like my dad. Hold on.
Go, we're getting a tour.
Podcast listeners, we're gonna act like you're blind, just like Drew has no sense of smell, and we'll just describe what's happening.
All right, so I don't know if y'all can see this.
Oh, he does look like you.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Oh, there's a glare
You're
on
showing
the.
us a picture of your dad right now. You are so proud of that man. You love him
Yeah.
so
And
much.
then look at that face.
Spit an image.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you went back in time and got a picture done.
Yeah, don't take them for granted. I'm with Rob on the sense I lost my dad when I was 21, and that was before I started comedy or doing anything. So, but he was an entertainer, and I'll tell you what, I definitely look like him too there.
Yo, you look you didn't even have to turn the camera all the way around. I saw the picture. I'm like, yo, he looked just like his dad.
No, he was one of those rode motorcycles a lot and weightlifted kind of guys. And
okay.
So yeah, he had that build. But
That's awesome.
Man.
Yeah, no, I got you, man. That's you gotta see your family while they're around. You can't take that shit for granted at all.
Drew, like I mean, you see how like horrible it is when people lose loved ones. So we just want to make sure you don't drink too much of that Panera tea while you're there, because otherwise there'll be very mournful stories said about you, right?
Thank you for that. I was actually about to go in and get some, but with that reasoning, I think you might have just saved my life. This podcast is good for listeners, and it saved my life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Shout out to Drew.
We cover everything here. We really do.
Yes.
Also one of my grievances, I don't like how people say I look like DJ Khaled. I don't like
it. Great. You know what's great about that? The best part of what you just said is that, like, you literally just use DJ Khaled's catchphrase. You're like, another thing, another one.
I don't like. It's the light skin and the beard, and everybody like, oh, you look like DJ Khaled. I'm like,
another one.
Another one.
I wasn't even thinking it till you said it. Now I can't.
You can't unsee it. You can't unsee it now.
Well, I'm sorry people do that. That is a good grievance. I apologize.
Another one.
Oh, all right. Cool. I think the funniest was definitely Drew. I'm sorry. That is just the inherent nature of shit. It is funny.
That is hilarious.
I know Keith agrees. He's sitting on a toilet right now, and
yeah, it was giving me a lot of PTSD. Honestly, I'm proud of myself for handling this podcast as well as I have.
All right, I picked a winner. Best grievance. I mean, I would be remiss if I did not pick the guy whose dad just died, and he could never see him perform, and he's very passionate about stand-up. So that's definitely going to go to Rob Rob is the best grievance. I mean, it's so apparent how much you love your dad and how close you are to him and how you really take on the burden of carrying on his legacy as, a spitting image or whatever. And the fact that he never got to see you is sad. It's very sad. So you definitely got to go to that. But yeah, that's the end of the podcast.
This was dope.
Winner.
Yeah,
This is
Brian, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys were fantastic. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, this is really fun.
This was fucking great. This is the best afternoon I've had in a minute.
I love to hear
it. Was either this or hang out in Panera a little bit longer. So this definitely was a step up.
Panera was like our 5th guest, honestly. Panera made so many appearances in this podcast. We had a great show. It was very funny. I think my favorite parts of the podcast were like just our conversations in between and just like the riffing and like just the good vibes, the good energy. And it's so funny that the show is about like just being disgruntled and upset or whatever, but like we had such good energy between all of us, and it's nice to find some positivity in dark, awful places. So thank you to our guests and to our listeners. You can find them on social media: Rob Mayfield, Drew Davis, and Keith Harmon. Thank you to our audience for tuning in. We have new episodes every Wednesday. You can find them on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Podbean. And that's all, folks. We'll see you guys next week. Woo!
I feel like everybody in this podcast don't have any pants on.
Not anymore.